She doesn't know why she woke up. She just did. And then she sees it, at the edge of the light, two eyes catching the glow and holding it, small, the shape of something not yet finished, a puppy, 8 weeks, maybe 10, alone in a way that tells her everything she needs to know about where the rest of its family is. She has a piece of meat in her hand. She's been holding it since she woke up. She throws it, not toward it, near it. The puppy flinches, holds, then, slowly, moves toward the meat. It eats. It looks back up at her. She waits. She has seen what wolves do to camps like this. She has seen the aftermath. She knows, in the way you know things that were true before you were born, that the correct response to two eyes in the dark is to wake the others and drive it off. She does not wake the others. She sits in the dark and she waits. She doesn't chase it off. She doesn't call the others. She sits in the dark and waits to see what it does next. That moment, or something close enough to it that the distinction barely matters, happened in multiple places, at multiple times. The cumulative result is an animal now living in 900 million homes. Here is how it happened. Here is what it cost both of you. The version you were taught. Early humans recognized that wolves were useful and decided to domesticate them. A strategic partnership. Two apex predators entering a business arrangement. It's wrong. Wolves and humans were competitors. Same prey, same terrain, same ecological niche. Hunters don't domesticate their competition. They kill it. For most of our shared history, that's exactly what happened. Wolf bones appear at human campsites going back 40,000 years. Those bones are there for one reason. We ate them. The genetics kill the theory entirely. If domestication had been a single deliberate event, the genetic record would show it. It doesn't. Dog DNA points to multiple independent domestication events, different locations, different times. No moment of invention. A slow, distributed, accidental process no individual human ever controlled. And the final problem, the one the theory cannot get around. You cannot domesticate a wolf. You can produce an animal that tolerates you. You cannot produce offspring that tolerate you. Behavioral domestication and genetic domestication are not the same thing. The domestication of the wolf was not a project a human being started. It was a process that started itself. The more precise question, the one that actually explains what happened, is not who started it. It is who was in the best position to let it continue. Not the hunters. Hunters were gone from camp for hours, sometimes days. They returned with kills and with the competitive territoriality of people who had just spent 2 days reading the landscape for threats. A wolf at the edge of camp, to a returning hunter, was a problem to be solved. The people who were at camp when the wolf came back the second morning were not hunters. They were the people whose job was the camp itself. Back to the camp. She fed the puppy once. In the morning it was still there, further into the light, sitting at a distance that felt deliberate. She didn't throw meat. She watched it for a moment and went back to what she was doing. It stayed. By the third feeding, it was taking food from a distance she could have reached across. She had not decided to domesticate a wolf. She had decided 3 times not to chase one away. Now multiply that across every campsite, every wolf population near human settlements, thousands of years. The wolves with the lowest flight responses had access to something extraordinary, a permanent, low-effort food source, scraps, warmth, some shelter from larger predators. A wolf that could sit at the edge of that firelight without bolting was, in purely caloric terms, doing better than one that couldn't. Those wolves survived better. reproduced more. Their offspring inherited the absence of the hair trigger alarm response that kept other wolves at distance. Now run the pressure in the other direction. The wolf at the edge of camp reacts to things humans can't hear or smell. A predator approaching. A rival band. It reacts, not to warn anyone, just because that's what wolves do. But from the human side, an alarm system. A perimeter sensor they didn't have to build or maintain. The humans who tolerated wolves did better. The wolves that tolerated humans did better. Neither species made a choice. Both were being shaped by the consequences of millions of small, unconsidered moments. She had a piece of meat and a puppy that came back. That was enough. There is a concept in evolutionary biology called the Domestication Syndrome, a cluster of traits that appear together, reliably, across every species humans have domesticated. Floppy ears, reduced skull size, shorter snouts, patches of unpigmented fur, juvenile features retained into adulthood, reduced aggression. No one selected for these traits deliberately. They come bundled with the one trait that was being selected for, tameness. The reduction in the fight or flight response that allowed wolves to stay near humans apparently sits on the same developmental pathway as all of these other features. The wolf that could tolerate the camp didn't just become less afraid. It became, incrementally, physically different, softer, rounder, more juvenile in its proportions, more readable in its expressions, more like something you would feed again. The dog is not a tamed wolf. This is not semantic. It is biological. It evolved one specific ability no other species on Earth has developed. It can read your face, not vaguely, precisely. It tracks your gaze, follows your pointing gestures, interprets your facial expressions in ways calibrated specifically to human communication. Here's the test. You have a treat. You know where it is. The animal doesn't. You point. Dogs follow the point, consistently, without training. Wolf puppies raised by humans from birth, given every advantage of socialization, cannot do this. But here's the comparison that changes everything. Chimpanzees cannot do it either. Chimpanzees share 98% of human DNA. They are our closest living relatives. They are capable of complex problem solving, tool use, social intelligence. And they cannot reliably follow a human pointing gesture to locate a hidden object. A puppy, 8 weeks old, no training, will follow your point. This has been tested extensively, and the results are consistent enough that they are no longer considered controversial in comparative cognition research. The standard experiment. A treat is hidden in one of two containers. A human looks at the correct container, or points at it, or places a small marker near it. Adult dogs. Reliable. Dog puppies with minimal human contact. Reliable. Wolves raised by humans from birth. Socialized daily for years. Unreliable. Chimpanzees. Unreliable. The ability is not about intelligence. Chimpanzees are more intelligent than dogs by most measures. It is not about familiarity with humans. Socialized wolves fail. It is a specific adaptation, a dedicated circuit, something that was built over thousands of generations to do exactly this one thing. This is not learned. It is a cognitive adaptation that evolved specifically in this lineage over thousands of generations as a direct result of proximity to humans. The dogs best at reading human faces got more food, more warmth, more protection. That pressure, running for millennia, produced a neurological specialization with no equivalent anywhere else in the animal kingdom. Your dog is not a wolf that learned to live with you. It is a species that evolved a tool specifically designed to work on your face. 40,000 years ago, wolf bones were in our campsites because we ate wolves. 14,000 years ago, something different appears in the record. Dog burials, not bones in a midden. Deliberate graves, bodies placed with care, positioned, sometimes accompanied by objects, sometimes buried alongside humans. The same species that had been eating wolves for tens of thousands of years had created an entirely new category of relationship, an animal whose death required something more than disposal. We did not do this to the horse, not the pig, not cattle, not any other species we domesticated across the same period. The dog entered our category of things that matter, not because we decided it would, because it had spent thousands of years becoming specifically neurologically suited to producing exactly that response in us. Consider what your dog was doing this morning before you were fully awake, before you spoke, before you moved with intention. In that interval where you were still assembling yourself into a person for the day, it was already watching your face, already reading the micro-expressions that precede conscious behavior, already calibrating its response to a version of you that you were not yet aware of yourself. It knows your emotional state before you do, not because it is perceptive in some general sense, because it has a dedicated system, refined across 15,000 years, for reading exactly that information from exactly your kind of face. No other animal on Earth is doing that to you. Only this one. You did not domesticate your dog. You inherited the end result of a 15,000-year process that neither species initiated, designed, or controlled. A process that ran on accident and proximity, and millions of unconsidered decisions made in firelight by people with no concept of what they were starting. Your dog looks at you with an apparatus evolution built specifically for your face. The way it tracks your gaze, the way it reads your expression, the way it seems, and this is not anthropomorphism, this is what the research shows, to care what you're feeling. That is thousands of generations of selection pressure, running in both directions, between two species that found each other in the dark and kept not walking away. She didn't know what she was starting. She fed a wolf puppy 15,000 years ago. It didn't run. You are still living with the result. If this changed how you looked at the animal in your house, subscribe. Every video on this channel starts from the same place, what the evidence actually says, not the comfortable version, what the record shows, followed wherever it leads. The next video goes further back. That story is already there when you're ready.